everybody. Welcome to our E for B podcast. The most powerful language learning tool you currently possess, well, it isn't a grammar textbook.
No, it definitely isn't.
Right. And it's not an expensive private tutor either. And it's certainly, it is absolutely not a vocabulary app on your phone.
Right, which I think surprises a lot of people.
Oh, exactly. It's actually, it is your incredibly boring, chaotic, and messy everyday routine.
That is quite the bold claim to start with, honestly.
Yes.
But it's entirely accurate because, if you're listening to this right now, we know the exact frustration that you're likely dealing with.
The plateau, right.
Exactly, the dreaded language plateau. You've studied the rules. You understand the mechanics of English on paper.
Right, you pass the test.
You pass the test. But then the very moment you are required to actually speak.
Yeah.
The moment you find yourself in a real-world coffee shop or in a fast-paced meeting, the words simply, they evaporate.
They just vanish. You feel like a massive dictionary is trapped inside your head, but someone just threw away the key.
That is the perfect way to describe it.
So today, our mission for this deep dive is to explore how to completely dismantle that mental block.
Yeah.
We're going to explore how to take the absolute most foundational tools in the English language, the basic WH questions, and apply them directly to your daily study and your daily life to actually build real fluency.
And we are utilizing a really brilliant conceptual framework for this discussion today.
Right, the BBC session.
Yes, exactly. It is derived from a BBC English online video session led by an instructor named Tommy.
Tommy, yeah.
And the session is titled Speak English Confidently, WH Questions for Your Daily Routine.
And, the overarching philosophy of Tommy's session is what we really need to unpack first, because he explicitly advocates for abandoning those traditional dry study methods.
Right. He says to just forget the dry textbooks entirely.
Forget them. He argues that everyday scenarios, your morning commute or making your breakfast or even just planning your evening, these aren't just chores.
No, not at all.
They are actually dynamic, highly personalized language labs.
And if we look at this, let us examine the underlying cognitive science of why this philosophy is so revolutionary for a language learner.
Yeah, let's break that down.
Because it touches on something very fundamental about how the human brain actually encodes and then retrieves information.
Well, why is it that, why does reading about a hypothetical situation in a textbook fail us so completely when we actually need to speak in the real world?
Because human memory relies overwhelmingly on context.
Context.
Right. In cognitive psychology, there's a major distinction between what we call semantic memory and episodic memory.
Okay, semantic and episodic.
Yes. Semantic memory is your recall of abstract facts.
Like trivia.
Like trivia. Or, memorizing a stark vocabulary list of kitchen items from a workbook.
Right, just words on a blank page.
Exactly. Episodic memory, however, is entirely tied to your lived sensory experiences.
Ah, I see. So when a textbook gives you an abstract scenario, like John goes to the bank to deposit a check, it is relying purely on that semantic memory.
Precisely. Because, you don't know John.
I have no idea who John is.
Right. You have no emotional investment in his financial transactions. There is absolutely no physical reality anchoring that language for you.
It's completely disconnected from my life.
So trying to retrieve those specific words later, when you actually need them, requires a massive amount of cognitive effort. The neural pathways are just incredibly weak.
Because you've only ever experienced those words in a vacuum.
Exactly. But when you utilize your own actual morning routine as your study material, you are entirely shifting the burden over to your episodic memory.
It's sort of like it's the difference between reading a dense manual about how to build a bicycle versus actually sitting on the bicycle and feeling the physical balance.
That is a phenomenal analogy, yes.
Your brain already implicitly understands the complex, multisensory context of your own life. When you narrate your own reality, you are simply laying a linguistic map over a territory that you have already fully explored.
You are removing the friction of the artificial context.
Right.
This method works so beautifully because it recognizes that learning is most permanent when it is immediately relevant to your survival, your comfort,
right,
or just your daily navigation of the physical world.
I do want to push back on this just a little bit, though.
Okay, sure.
Because I am trying to place myself directly in the shoes of someone listening to this right now.
Right.
Let us say I am a lower intermediate learner.
Okay.
I wake up, I walk into my kitchen, and I decide to narrate my morning reality, just like Tommy suggests. I'm standing there and I'm making eggs. I hold up the physical tool that I used to flip the eggs, and well, my mind goes completely, utterly blank.
Right.
I suddenly realize I have absolutely no idea how to say spatula in English.
Yeah.
So my question is, does this method not just immediately highlight all of my vocabulary gaps and cause immense frustration? I mean, doesn't that kill the motivation before I even finish making my breakfast?
That is an incredibly important point to raise. We can call it the spatula problem.
The spatula problem, yeah.
Yes. What you are describing is a well-documented phenomenon in linguistics known as noticing the gap.
Noticing the gap.
Right. And while it feels incredibly frustrating in that specific moment,
Oh, it really does.
it is actually the single most crucial step in real language acquisition.
Wait, really? The frustration is crucial.
Absolutely. Because think about it. When you read a textbook, the textbook author decides what vocabulary is important for you.
Right. They give you the list.
But when you use your daily routine, your actual physical reality dictates what is important.
Oh, I see.
If you use a spatula every single morning to make your breakfast, but you do not know the English word for it, well, your brain registers a highly specific, deeply personalized deficit.
Because it is something I literally need to survive my morning routine.
Exactly. And then when you finally look up that specific word, because the context is so deeply tied to your daily physical action, the retention rate is just astronomically higher.
Wow.
You will never, ever forget the word spatula again, because it is no longer just an abstract noun on a piece of paper.
It is the physical tool I am holding in my hand at 7:15 every single morning.
Precisely. So the frustration you mentioned, it is actually the very engine of long-term retention.
So the feeling of being stuck in your own kitchen isn't a failure of the method at all.
No,
It is the method working perfectly. It's diagnostic.
it diagnoses exactly what you need to learn to navigate your specific life in English.
That radically changes the perspective on feeling stuck.
It really does.
So let us look at how the source material actually instructs us to build this diagnostic tool. It starts with the most fundamental building blocks of information, right?
Yes, the morning routine breakdown.
Utilizing the questions what, who, and when.
We begin by grounding ourselves firmly in physical reality. The source challenges learners to dive deeply into the very first moments of the day,
Right.
using the construct of what to take an inventory, a literal inventory of your actions and objects.
So you wake up. Do you immediately reach over and silence your phone alarm?
Right.
Do you physically walk to the kitchen and pour a glass of cold water?
Yes.
What are the exact actions you are taking, and what are the specific objects you are physically interacting with?
And the utility of applying what to your immediate surroundings,
Yeah.
it forces you to actively label your environment.
Active labeling.
Yes, you're constructing the foundational nouns and verbs of your existence. The water, the phone, the pouring, the reaching.
It sounds incredibly basic, I know, but it is active retrieval rather than just passive reading.
Precisely. And then the framework expands outward.
Okay.
From the isolation of physical objects, we move to the social network, using the construct of who.
So you look around your physical space. Who is sharing it with you? Are you navigating around family members in a crowded hallway?
Yes, or maybe you're living entirely alone.
Exactly. Who is the very first person you speak to in the morning? Is it a roommate? Or perhaps the barista when you finally leave the house?
And when you utilize the who construct, you are fundamentally shifting your cognitive map.
How so?
You are practicing relational vocabulary. You see, the brain organizes information about people very, very differently than it organizes information about inanimate objects.
Oh, that makes sense.
By asking who, you trigger the neural networks that are responsible for social dynamics, family structures, and community roles.
So we have the objects and the actions with what? We have the people with who.
Yes.
And then the source material anchors all of this chaotic morning information onto a firm timeline. The third pillar of the morning routine, when.
Yes. And applying when goes far, far beyond simply reading numbers off a clock.
Right, it's not just, it is 7 o'clock.
No, it is the architectural framework of a narrative.
So when exactly does your alarm sound? When do you actually manage to drag yourself out of the bed?
Exactly. When is the exact transition point from being at home to starting the commute?
And while practicing numbers and time telling is obviously beneficial,
Of course.
the true power of when lies in its forcing function for sequence markers, doesn't it?
Yes. To answer when effectively, you must start utilizing words like first, subsequently, afterward, and finally.
You are literally training your brain to organize events chronologically in a second language.
Which is a highly complex cognitive task.
I am tracking with all of this, but, I can almost hear the listener asking a very practical question right now.
Go ahead.
Narrating my morning, literally saying out loud, I am drinking water at 7 a.m. It feels incredibly rudimentary.
Yes, it can feel that way.
If my ultimate goal is to sit in a corporate boardroom and negotiate a complex contract in English, or to have a deep, emotional, philosophical conversation with a friend, how does stating these incredibly basic morning facts actually bridge that massive gap?
That question, well, that cuts to the absolute core of what language fluency actually is.
Okay, let's hear it.
As adults, we have this profound, really deeply ingrained misconception about fluency.
What is it?
We constantly conflate fluency with intellectual complexity.
We conflate fluency with intellectual complexity.
Yes, we mistakenly believe that to be fluent, we must be utilizing highly advanced, sophisticated vocabulary at all times.
Right, we want to sound smart.
Exactly.
Yeah.
But from a purely neurological standpoint, fluency is not about the complexity of the thought at all.
Really?
Fluency is simply the total lack of hesitation and retrieval.
The lack of hesitation.
It is the ability of your brain to locate the required word and then send the signal to your vocal cords without encountering a neurological roadblock.
So, when you stand in your kitchen and state the basic facts of your morning out loud,
Yes.
you are not trying to stimulate your intellect.
Not at all. You are greasing the wheels of neural retrieval. You are practicing the physical and mental act of moving a concept from your brain directly to your mouth, instantly.
It is akin to, it's like a professional athlete running basic drills.
Yes. Perfect analogy.
A basketball player who has been in the professional league for 10 years still practices basic free throws every single day.
Every day.
A free throw isn't a complex, game-winning, multiplayer strategy. It is the absolute most basic, fundamental mechanic of the game.
Right.
But mastering that simple mechanic without hesitation is exactly what allows the complex strategy to actually function under pressure later on.
That is the perfect way to understand it.
Yeah.
Because think about it. If you stumble and hesitate while trying to explain what simple food you consumed for breakfast, well, your brain will inevitably freeze when trying to articulate a complex project update at work.
Because the cognitive load of the complex thought will just completely overwhelm the unpracticed retrieval system.
Mastery of the simple creates the necessary runway for the complex.
That is so incredibly clarifying. So we have established our free throws.
Yes.
The foundational layer of what, who, and when.
But the source material does not let us stop there.
No, it doesn't. Once the foundation is stable, it introduces the next level of the morning challenge, exploring motivation and texture through where, why, and how.
We move from the foundational facts to the contextual environment. Let us examine the cognitive leap that is required by the construct of where.
You are no longer just stating that you are drinking coffee. You are actively situating yourself in physical space.
Right.
Are you hovering over the kitchen sink because you are in a massive rush?
Yes.
Are you sitting perfectly still at a dining table?
Yeah.
Are you navigating a crowded, noisy sidewalk?
And engaging with where forces the learner to confront one of the most notoriously difficult aspects of the English language.
Prepositions.
Prepositions of place, yes.
Are brutal.
In the kitchen, at the table, on the train. These tiny functional words often do not translate directly from a learner's native language.
Right. I mean, in many languages, one single word might cover all three of those spatial relationships.
Exactly. Which means they require immense, repeated practice to internalize properly.
Because the rules feel so arbitrary.
They do. But by grounding these prepositions in the exact physical space your body is occupying in that moment, you create a sort of muscular memory of the language.
You are physically mapping the preposition to your actual reality.
Yes.
And from spatial reality, we make an even larger cognitive leap into the abstract world, the construct of why.
Why is the bridge? It's the bridge between the physical world and the internal psychological world.
It demands an explanation of human motivation.
Yes.
So why did you actually set your alarm for 6 a.m. today?
Right. Why?
Is it driven by an external obligation, like an unforgiving boss? Or is it driven by internal ambition, like a desire to exercise before the sun even rises?
Why are you wearing that specific coat today?
Exactly. Is it purely for utility against the freezing weather, or is it an expression of personal style?
Consider how dramatically your vocabulary must expand to answer these specific questions.
It's a huge jump.
It is. You are no longer just cataloging the physical items in your kitchen. You are navigating the language of desire, necessity, cause, and effect.
You are building the vocabulary required to defend your life choices and express your inner life.
Yes. And to complete this fully rendered scene, we introduce the final element of texture, which is how.
How is the qualitative assessment of your reality, right?
It is. It dictates the manner or the condition of the action.
How are you chewing your food frantically while staring in a panic at a work email? Or slowly actually tasting the ingredients?
Right. How does your body physically feel as you walk to the bus stop?
Are your shoulders tense? Are your steps heavy with fatigue, or are they light with energy?
Structurally, how forces the integration of adverbs and adjectives into your speech.
It shifts the sentence from a sterile reporting of facts into a vibrant human expression of experience.
Yes.
If we think about this in terms of building a virtual world.
Oh, I like this.
Yeah. The first three questions, what, who, and when, they give you the basic wireframe model.
Right, the structure.
They tell you the coordinates, the objects, and the timeline.
A very functional but completely empty structure.
Exactly. But when you layer on where, why, and how, well, it is like initiating the full 3D rendering process.
The colors come in.
The wireframe suddenly fills with light, shadow, texture, and color.
Right.
You go from a person ate food at 7 a.m.
Very pasty.
to exhausted and anxious about a looming deadline. The person hurriedly consumed a piece of cold toast while leaning against the kitchen counter.
It is literally the difference between a dry police report and a novel.
Let us transform this theory into immediate practice right now.
Oh.
For you listening to this deep dive right now, regardless of where you are or what you're doing at this exact moment,
we want you to take a slow, deliberate look at your immediate surroundings.
Look at the physical space you are currently occupying.
Ask yourself internally in English,
where exactly am I located right now?
why am I choosing to be in this specific location at this precise moment?
And how is my body physically reacting to this environment?
Are you comfortable? Are you cold? Are you relaxed?
It radically alters your perception of the moment, doesn't it?
It does. The mundane environment suddenly becomes a rich, complex linguistic puzzle.
And the absolute beauty of this framework is that it is highly portable.
Yes, it travels with you.
Your morning routine eventually ends. You leave the house, but the language lab travels with you everywhere you go.
Which brings us to the application of the method in the afternoon and the evening.
Navigating real-life scenarios out in the wild.
When we enter the public sphere, the nature of our interactions shifts.
Right.
The source material highlights two incredibly common scenarios to demonstrate how these basic question structures function in a dynamic, unpredictable environment.
The first is the transactional script, specifically the classic cafe scenario.
Yes, the cafe.
Imagine you are on your lunch break. The environment is incredibly loud. People are rushing all around you. You walk up to the counter of a busy coffee shop.
Right.
For a language learner, this specific environment is a perfect recipe for a spiked heart rate and completely blanking on your vocabulary.
It is incredibly intimidating.
But the source breaks down this intimidating transaction, revealing that it is entirely governed by predictable WH questions.
Let us look at why a transaction feels so stressful and how the WH framework dismantles that stress entirely.
Okay.
The anxiety fundamentally stems from unpredictability.
Right, not knowing what they will say.
But a commercial transaction is actually highly predictable. The barista is essentially reading from a predetermined script.
They ask the same things to every customer.
Exactly. So the barista asks, "What would you like?" That is the what.
And you answer, a large drip coffee.
Then you initiate the how. You ask, "How much does that cost?"
The answer is a simple number, $4.
You introduce the when. When will it be ready?
The response is time-based, in a couple of minutes.
Then the where. Where do I wait?
At the end of the counter.
And finally, the who. Who is next?
When you isolate the structure like that, it completely removes the chaos from the situation.
It does.
It is almost like suddenly seeing the underlying code behind a complex computer program. The entire intimidating interaction is just a highly structured matrix of basic question formulations.
And the neurological benefit of recognizing this matrix is profound.
How so?
It relates to cognitive load theory. Your working memory has a strictly limited capacity.
You can only hold so much at once.
Exactly. If you are using all of your available cognitive energy panicking about what the barista might possibly say next, you have absolutely no energy left to actually retrieve the English words you need to respond.
Because the fear of unpredictability is consuming all of the processing power.
Precisely. But if you have practiced these specific WH structures daily,
Right.
if you already know the architecture of the conversation before you even open the coffee shop door,
You drastically reduce that cognitive load.
yes, you free up the processing power needed to speak clearly and confidently.
And this identical structure applies to buying a train ticket or dealing with a bank teller or even asking a stranger for directions.
It is universal.
The source material then pivots from the highly structured transactional script to the slightly more fluid social scenario,
Yes.
planning an evening out with a colleague or a friend.
Social interactions obviously require a different emotional cadence.
Sure.
But the underlying linguistic architecture remains remarkably consistent.
So you are wrapping up work and you turn to a colleague, you use the what, you ask, what are your plans for tonight?
They respond, I'm going to a restaurant.
You follow up with the where are you heading?
That new Thai place downtown.
The who are you meeting?
A friend from college.
The when is the reservation?
8 o'clock.
The crucial insight here is about outsourcing your curriculum.
Yes, this is so important.
Because many learners waste hours staring at a blank wall, trying to invent imaginary scenarios to practice their English.
They try to be creative writers.
Which is exhausting.
It is. This method demands zero creativity. You do not have to invent the plot. The actual events of your life and the lives of the people around you dictate the entire curriculum.
You simply have to be an active observer, translating the reality that is unfolding right in front of you.
This leads us to a concept in the source material that addresses perhaps the most universal fear among all language learners.
Oh, I know what you're going to say.
It is not just about initiating a conversation. It is the paralyzing fear of how to keep it going.
The dreaded dead-end conversation.
Yes.
Every single person who has ever learned a language knows this exact feeling.
We've all been there.
You summon a massive amount of courage. You successfully speak a grammatically correct sentence in English to a native speaker.
Right.
The native speaker smiles and responds, giving you a piece of information.
And then?
And suddenly a massive steel wall comes down in your mind.
The panic sets in.
Yes. Your brain empties completely. The silence stretches out. It feels like an eternity. And in a moment of pure, awkward desperation, all you can manage to mumble is, oh, okay.
Oh, okay. Those two little words are responsible for ending more potentially wonderful conversations than any grammatical error ever could.
It's true.
The source material explicitly identifies, oh, okay, as the ultimate missed opportunity. It is the linguistic equivalent of a brick wall.
And the antidote to that brick wall, the tool that keeps the door propped open, is the strategic use of the WH question.
Tommy illustrates this beautifully with a highly relatable scenario in the video. You can call it the park example.
The park example. So imagine a colleague casually mentions to you on a Monday morning, I went to the park this weekend.
The instinct, driven by nerves, is just to nod and say, oh, okay.
But if you lean on your daily practice, you recognize the statement as an invitation.
Yes.
You can deploy the which. You ask, which park did you go to?
You could deploy the who? Who did you go with?
The what? What did you do there?
The how. How is the weather over on that side of town?
Let us examine the mechanics of why this is such a powerful strategy.
It operates on two distinct levels. First, structurally. Forming a question in the English language is notoriously difficult for learners.
Oh, it really is.
It often requires syntactic inversion swapping the subject and the verb or the sudden introduction of auxiliary verbs like do, did, or does.
Right. You have to remember to say, where did you go instead of where you went.
Exactly.
It requires mental gymnastics in real time.
It is a structural hurdle that requires immense, consistent repetition to overcome. So by forcing yourself to ask follow-up questions in real conversations, you are getting vital repetitions of complex syntax.
But the second benefit is purely psychological, isn't it?
And arguably much more important.
Mm-hmm.
By asking a WH question, you are demonstrating active listening.
Right.
You validate the speaker's experience. You create a natural conversational rhythm without having to generate an elaborate, stressful story of your own.
I look at this as an incredibly effective social hack for the anxious language learner.
A social hack. I like that.
Think about the dynamics of a conversation. If you are deeply insecure about your accent or you are terrified of making a grammar mistake, the spotlight feels like an intense interrogation lamp.
The pressure to perform can be absolutely overwhelming.
Yes, But the very moment you ask a well-formed WH question,
You pass the ball.
you physically and psychologically pass the ball back to the other person. You take the spotlight completely off yourself.
In the field of second language acquisition, there is a very famous concept proposed by linguist Stephen Krashen.
Okay, what's it called?
It's known as the effective filter hypothesis.
The effective filter.
Yes. It posits that negative emotional variables, things like anxiety, self-doubt, or the fear of embarrassment, literally create a cognitive block.
A block that prevents learning.
A block that prevents language from being processed by the brain entirely. When the effective filter is high, your language centers basically shut down.
So, by asking the question and letting the native speaker do the heavy lifting of the conversation,
Yes.
you are intentionally lowering your own effective filter.
Exactly. The WH question acts as both a shield and a bridge.
A shield and a bridge.
It shields you from the immediate, terrifying pressure of performance, allowing your anxiety to drop significantly.
Right.
And simultaneously, it builds a bridge of connection, allowing you to stay in the interaction and practice your active listening skills in a biologically safe, receptive state.
We have explored the deep psychology of this method now.
We have.
We have seen how it structures the morning, how it navigates the transactional matrix of the afternoon, and how it saves our social interactions in the evening.
The theory is useless without execution.
Exactly. How does the listener transform this philosophy into a concrete daily habit when they are completely alone in their house?
The source material provides a highly specific, very actionable framework for this.
Okay, let's give them the challenge.
It is a personalized WH practice challenge, and it is designed to be executed every single day.
Every day.
The core requirement is this. Every single day, you must formulate a minimum of 3 WH questions regarding your immediate future.
Your upcoming evening or the following day.
Yes.
So you look ahead to your evening and you actively formulate the questions.
Right.
What exact meal am I going to cook tonight?
What specific television show or movie am I planning to watch?
Who are the main actors in it?
Where do I need travel to tomorrow morning?
The medium through which you execute this is flexible, but the actual act of formulation is absolutely mandatory.
You can physically write them down in a dedicated notebook, creating a real tactile connection to the words.
Or you can type them into a digital document on your phone.
Or you can simply articulate them aloud to an empty room.
However, and this is the crux of the whole thing,
Yeah.
there's one critical step that makes this entire system function.
Yes.
You cannot simply ask the questions into the void and walk away.
No, you can't.
You must engage in the complete cycle. You must answer them.
We call this the zero-stakes mini-conversation.
A mini conversation, exactly. You become both participants in the dialogue.
Right.
You ask yourself out loud, what am I going to cook for dinner tonight?
And then you physically switch roles and answer yourself, I am going to cook chicken and vegetables.
But you don't stop there. You push the cognitive load just slightly higher with a follow-up. How am I going to prepare the chicken?
And you answer, I'm going to roast it in the oven with olive oil.
Let us examine why talking to yourself in an empty room is fundamentally different and in some ways much more effective for initial practice than talking to a native speaker.
Well, we discussed the affective filter earlier.
Right, the anxiety block.
When you attempt to speak to a native speaker, the amygdala, which is the fear center of your brain, is often highly active, anticipating judgment or failure.
The fight or flight response is subtly triggered by the social pressure of the conversation.
Precisely. And an active amygdala literally inhibits the prefrontal cortex and Broca's area, which are the parts of the brain critical for speech formulation.
It's biological. You literally cannot think of the words because you are scared.
Yes. But when you are standing completely alone in your kitchen, asking yourself about roasting chicken,
The social threat is entirely absent,
the stakes are zero. The amygdala remains perfectly calm.
which means the language centers of the brain have full, unrestricted access to your cognitive resources.
Yes, you are practicing the exact same neural sequence of retrieving vocabulary and structuring syntax that you would use in a real conversation.
But you are doing it in a biologically safe environment.
You are building the vital muscle memory of speech without the heavy resistance of anxiety.
And the source material heavily emphasizes that the magic ingredient here is not duration, it is frequency.
Frequency over duration.
Yes, Tommy notes that executing this cycle with just 2 or 3 questions every single day yields massive results over time. It just requires consistency.
It is the principle of compounding interest. applied directly to neuroplasticity.
Compounding interest.
Small, highly frequent activations of a neural pathway strengthen it far, far more effectively than one massive, exhausting 3-hour study session on a Sunday.
To guarantee that consistency, you have to utilize a concept called habit stacking.
Habit stacking.
You do not rely on motivation. Motivation fades. You tie this linguistic exercise to a biological necessity or an unbreakable daily routine.
Tell yourself every single day, the moment I sit down with my lunch, before I take the very first bite, I will silently ask and answer 3 questions in English.
What exactly am I eating?
Where am I currently sitting?
Who is in the room with me?
It takes perhaps 15 seconds.
15 seconds a day.
But when stacked onto an unbreakable habit like eating lunch, it guarantees that you are actively processing your environment in English hundreds of times a month.
It fundamentally transforms the mundane acts of daily survival into a continuous educational loop. Your daily life genuinely becomes the textbook.
And that is the ultimate, incredibly empowering takeaway from our exploration today.
The material you need to achieve fluency is not hidden behind an expensive paywall. It is not locked inside a classroom.
Right.
It is an endless, constantly refreshing stream of data flowing all around you every single minute of the day.
You simply have to choose to observe the life you are already living.
And ask the fundamental questions about it.
Observe and question. It shifts you from being a passive consumer of a language to becoming an active architect of your own fluency.
As we conclude this deep dive, I want to leave you with a final provocative thought, a concept to really mull over as you navigate the rest of your day.
Okay.
We have spent this time establishing a core truth. Your daily routine dictates the physical and emotional reality that you must translate into English.
Yes.
Your routine dictates your vocabulary.
It creates the absolute boundaries of your linguistic map.
So if you feel that your English vocabulary has become stagnant, if you are tired of practicing the exact same words every single day,
it likely means your life has become too predictable.
Exactly. What would happen to your fluency if you intentionally disrupted that routine tomorrow?
Oh, that is an interesting idea.
What if you forced yourself to walk through a completely unfamiliar neighborhood?
Right.
What if you signed up for a pottery class or wandered into a bizarre specialty grocery store you have never visited before?
If your life is your textbook.
Sometimes the only way to learn new words is to force yourself to live a completely new chapter.
A brilliant paradigm shift. Disrupt the routine to disrupt the vocabulary.
Thank you for joining us in this podcast, and until our next episode. Bye.